In the 1980s, Renault embarked on the production of a new class of vehicles, minivans. In the following decade, the Scenic model was released and named Car of the Year in Europe in 1999, bringing innovations for family trips. Built on the Renault Megane platform, it offered buyers convenient.
There were fold-out tables on the back of the seats, providing extra comfort for children and passengers in the rear row. The transformation concept allowed seats to be removed, folded, and arranged, creating a flat floor that connected seamlessly to the trunk.
It's no surprise this model quickly won Europeans' love. The fourth generation of the Renault Scenic is now available. The second generation introduced the 7-seat Grand Scenic. After that, the company began producing minivans and launched its first slogan, Cars for Life.
In other words, life could be thriving inside the car, and that life could take you wherever you want, anywhere. Everyone could fit in, with the dog, with the grandparents, everyone could go on a trip, and so on.
In 2015, they changed its tagline. Now it sounds, a passion for life.
They wanted to add more emotion to it and appeal to a slightly younger audience. The car is affordable, a great starting point, and easy to live with. It's cool.
However, throughout its history, the brand has lacked a clear positioning.
Despite its logo being highly recognizable, you can't mistake it. But if you ask people what Renault is, they likely won't have a consistent response. For example, Volvo is associated with safety, BMW with dynamics, Mercedes with status, but Renault still doesn't have a clear positioning.
The diamond-shaped logo first appeared in 1925, and since then, it has gone through several transformations, becoming increasingly minimalist. In 2021, Renault presented the most recent version of its logo.
The famous diamond, symbolizing a diamond, was meant to highlight the value of the company.
It's like in The Lord of the Rings. There's a character, Gollum, who says, my precious, about the ring. Similarly, for them, it was their creation, something they loved dearly, and for them, it was their own little diamond.
At the turn of the second millennium, the French company transformed into a multi-brand group.
In 1999, Renault partnered with Nissan. Both sides purchased shares in each other. The French company owns 43% of Nissan's shares with voting rights. The Japanese side holds 15% of Renault's shares without voting rights. In 2016, Nissan acquired a controlling stake in Mitsubishi, and in addition, the French own the brands Dacia, Samsung, and Lada.
In 2012, Renault launched a lineup of electric cars, including one of its most famous models, the Zoe. In 2021, thanks to the advertising campaign for this car, the company won the Grand Prix at the Cannes Lions, an award that advertisers and marketers equate to an Oscar in their field.
The award is given to brands that not only excel in design or create exceptional products, but also have a profound impact by truly changing people's lives or even transforming an entire community through innovative marketing or a significant marketing decision.
So, what made this carmaker's campaign so special? They focused on a small mountain village called API in the Pyrenees, home to only 11 families. Just 25 residents.
The village had little infrastructure. People had to travel 30 kilometers to get to the nearest supermarket, and 15 kilometers to the closest bakery. The school was even farther away. They were completely dependent on transport for their daily lives.
The French carmaker decided to gift a Zoe electric car to every family in the village.
They brought the cars there, and the people were already waiting for them. The company began filming a documentary about how the residents' lives were changing. They set up a charging station, and both the young and the old were able to use the cars, which didn't run out of charge. They were able to travel to the supermarket, the school, and meet other needs, as well as use the cars for leisure trips.
This initiative allowed API to be called the first village in the world where every household had an electric car.
At the end of the video, they even mentioned that the French have this funny English accent. They say not happy, but appy. So, as the village is called API, it all ended with an appy end. The residents were allowed to keep the cars, and they continue to use them to this day. As a result, the first electrified village still exists and remains on the map.
From the documentary, Renault edited a clip that won the Grand Prix at Cannes Lions. The life of the mountain village changed in another way too.
Everyone was curious about this village, how many people lived there, and what it looked like. The village saw an increase in tourist traffic, and there were many mentions in the media. This became a case study.
According to Renault, in just the first 6 months of exclusively using ZOE, the residents of API managed to save 2,600 litres of fuel and avoid releasing 4 tons of carbon into the atmosphere. Naturally, a powerful tool for promoting an automotive brand in modern history is its involvement in Formula One.
It's important to understand that motorsport delivers excellent results in terms of promoting cars. Renault, known for models like Logan and Duster, is actually heavily involved in motorsport through its sports division, which is popular in Europe for fast driving. Every model has a sporty version, including the Renault Clio and Megane. Compact cars, including hatchbacks, are also available in sport versions.
The company debuted in the Royal Races in 1977 with the Renault IS-01. They have occasionally stopped competing in Formula One, but even during these breaks, they continued supplying engines to other teams. Renault drivers have won over 160 races with these powerful engines, showcasing performance and reliability.
The most famous driver for Renault is Fernando Alonso. He became the Formula One world champion twice in 2005 and 2006. Alonso was the youngest ever to hold this title in the history of the Royal Races and broke Michael Schumacher's dominance, who had won the championship for 5 consecutive years prior.
In 2018, a scandal involving Carlos Ghosn, head of the Renault-Nissan-Mitsubishi alliance, unfolded, a story worthy of a movie. He was one of the most successful top managers in the global automotive industry until accused of embezzling $15 million from the company. Ghosn allegedly used the funds for personal expenses, including a yacht and his son's education, while underreporting the alliance's income in tax filings to conceal his actions. Carlos denied the accusations, claiming he was the victim of a conspiracy and a behind-the-scenes battle between Nissan and Renault.
My Japanese lawyers told me, don't expect a fair trial. The case didn't get much attention, but we believe that with all the available evidence and arguments, we can prove your innocence. But frankly, I started to doubt when I saw that the prosecutors were demanding a very harsh punishment. I realized that if I wanted at least one day of normal life, I had to leave the country.
Interestingly, 99% of all criminal cases in Japan end with a guilty verdict. So, Carlos Ghosn didn't want to wait for the trial and, while under house arrest, escaped to Lebanon, which has no extradition agreement with Japan. He did it in a very dramatic way because, as a top manager of an international alliance, his face was well known, and showing it during his escape wasn't an option.
The only way I could hide was in a box or luggage, so no one could see or recognize me. That's how the idea of a musical instrument case came about, which seemed the most logical. Especially considering there were many concerts happening in Japan at the time.
Carlos Ghosn was helped by 2 American accomplices, who pretended to be musicians. They traveled to the airport by train and taxi.
I had to wear clothes I wouldn't usually wear, watch, hat, coat, that wouldn't raise any suspicion.
And at the hotel near the airport, they put him in a case.
When you're in the box, you don't think about the past or future, only about the present moment. I stayed there for about an hour or an hour and a half, and you need to fully concentrate on what's happening because you can't see anything, you can only hear the people around you, and you have to be ready to react to anything that happens.
Ghosn escaped to Lebanon, where he still resides, while his accomplice Michael Taylor and son Peter were less fortunate. They returned to their home in America, where they were extradited to Japan, where they were sentenced to 2 years and 1 year and 8 months in prison. In 2021, the automaker got embroiled in a scandal over diesel engines, with French investigative authorities accusing the company of hiding the actual levels of harmful emissions from its vehicles. Allegedly, several Renault and Nissan models were equipped with software that bypasses emissions controls, lowering the levels of nitrogen oxide emissions during testing. In reality, these cars emit 10 times more toxic gases than what is allowed under EU regulations.
The company did not admit any wrongdoing, but the Paris court ordered it to pay a €20 million bail and provide a €60 million bank guarantee to cover any potential compensation claims. A few years earlier, Volkswagen was involved in an even bigger scandal over emissions data manipulation. Dieselgate cost the German automaker 30 billion euros.
In 2020, the Renault Group's revenue was nearly 43.5 billion euros, almost 22% lower than the previous year. It's not hard to guess that the cause was the COVID-19 pandemic, which collapsed the market. In 2021, global automakers, including the French, faced an electronic chip shortage. According to Renault's forecasts, due to this, production would be reduced by 500,000 cars, bringing the total to 2.3 million units. The massive shortage of microchips is also attributed to the pandemic. During the lockdown, remote work and online learning surged, leading to a sharp increase in demand for electronics. Chip manufacturers simply couldn't handle the rising demand.
Despite these challenges, according to Renault Group, the company earned 32 million euros in the first 9 months of 2021, which is 12% more than during the same period last year. This positive trend was achieved, in part, thanks to an increase in car prices.
In 2020, the company surprised the public by presenting the electric car prototype Morphos. Its special feature is that the car can physically expand depending on the user's needs. The urban version of the electric vehicle is 4 meters and 40 centimeters long, while the travel version can be extended by 40 centimeters. Without recharging, Morphos can cover 400 kilometers. In September 2021, the futuristic electric car won an award at the International Automobile Festival as the most innovative concept car.